90.3 on your FM dial. Log on to Sugar City FM.
Good evening and welcome to Fear in Our Favor. Tonight we are going to be looking at the harsh reality of certain situations. Some of you might not be pleased. Some of you might feel it is a worthwhile discussion. Others might be stoic or indifferent with respect to the content. Now, let us look at the situation of persons voting over on Nevis. Our federation is set up so that we have 8 seats on St. Kitts and 3 seats over on Nevis. So the most a Nevis party can win is 3 out of 11. And obviously, that cannot bring you a majority, cannot bring you 6. You can only get 6 if you combine your efforts with those of other parties. And as such, it would call for good relationships. Otherwise, you could almost say that Nevisians are voting in vain. That's the harsh reality. They cannot by themselves form the federal government. And speaking of federal government, let us look at it this way. Many persons are saying that we should move towards a republic where we get a president and we have Nevis Island administration, St. Kitts Island administration. Let me talk about that republic aspect first. I don't know where we would get a president that can be objective and neutral enough not to make decisions more in favor of the party that predominates. Because that president would come from the ruling party. Don't care how you look at it. The harsh reality is that if Labour is in government, at the time when they want to change to a republic, whoever is there as the prime minister, that person would always want to put a president there that is their party friendly. Don't care how we look at it. It is just a fact. And then you can see where situations can get out of hand sometimes. Most of the time you might have decisions that might be fair, but once there is opposing views and there is a need for action, action would be taken on behalf of the ruling government. And how much of a say Nevisians would have in the selection of president for the Republic of St. Kitts and Nevis? How much say would they have? That'll be a very ticklish situation. And I think that politics would have polarized us so much that I cannot foresee any objective and neutral-minded person occupying that seat of presidency. Because we can look at it, look at the governor generals. As one party leaves, the governor general would normally leave with them. So that is just a signal because that position that the Governor General has would be transformed into a presidency state of affairs. So you could already anticipate what would transpire. Whether Labour in power, PLP in power, PAM in power, whoever in power, you could almost anticipate what would happen, judging from the fact that politics has completely polarized the entire population of St. Kitts Nevis. There is no such thing as I am not backing or supporting any party. You're either A, B, C, D, or E. Even if the reality, an iota of the reality existed, that you do not support a party, the perception would be contradictory. By association and utterances and everything else, people would have you bracketed one way or the other. So it would be tough, very tough, to choose a president of a republic of St. Kitts and Nevis. Now let us hop back over on the sister island. Many persons who are fighting or suggesting a republic because their claim is that there's a Nevis Island administration or assembly and there's none on St. Kitts. But the reality is that the federal government is the St. Kitts government. Some people might not want to hear it, but that is a harsh reality. The federal government is St. Kitts government. And just like how Nevisians authorities complain and ask for a fair share, so too with the St. Kitts population asks for a fair share. And there is no way the federal government, which is technically the St. Kitts government, would never compromise the people of St. Kitts to put Nevis in a position over them. That's just a harsh reality. Very, very harsh reality. The federal government is the St. Kitts government. Look at the situation on Nevis where they're trying to generate revenue and they're thinking about geothermal energy, which is a brilliant idea. But geothermal is very, very expensive and is nowhere the federal or St. Kitts government, some people ain't gonna like it, would compromise and contribute so much money because it's a very expensive venture. Nowhere the authorities in St. Kitts, I don't care who in power, would ever feel comfortable using up St. Kitts money. And I say St. Kitts because I'm not going to say federal money. Would feel comfortable using up St. Kitts money to carry out such major investment over on Nevis. It would never happen. Don't care how much corner you go in and the pocket conversations that are held. It will never, ever happen. So when you put all these millions into developing geothermal energy, how would Kittitian feel with respect to that? Because it's very expensive. And instead what would happen? The authorities or the St. Kitts government would look at ways to develop something on St. Kitts. The solar energy, the desalination plant, wind energy, or they would even explore the possibility of exploring for geothermal energy on St. Kitts. Even though you might have had an idea of where this can happen, the reality is that on a comparative basis, Nevis is a better candidate at least for the time being, from what we have seen, for geothermal energy than St. Kitts is. But there's absolutely no way, no body in authoritative positions over the finances of the federal slash St. Kitts government would invest that amount of money on a geothermal plant over on Nevis. That's the harsh reality. It will never happen. And it's time that people wake up and face that reality. Face that reality. While Nevis is shouting fair share, Kittitians are silently screaming fair share as well. And it's down here where you have the ears of the authorities, so you don't have to shout. You have the ears so you can whisper a scream that, look, we want our fair share too. Our Kittitians need the fair share as well. The Labour Party would have had some strength to the extent that it took the combination of CCM, PLP, and PAM to take power from the Labour Party. For whatever reason it happened, it took that effort, that combination of parties. And the way the trajectory is today, if things do not change with respect to the political parties' landscape, Labour might be in power for the next two elections to come. And that's the reality. If you cannot find unity amongst PAM, CCM, or PLP going forward, the Labour Party would be winning the next two elections, hands down. If there is not transformative actions taken to deliberately avoid that, the only thing can happen is an implosion within the Labour, St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. Anything else external would be basically of very little impact. You must have that combination of parties to defeat the Labour Party. PAM is terribly weakened. PLP would have quite a challenge, having come out the first time this election, and moving forward, there will be many challenges that might not be easily dealt with. So with all those things being manifested, we can have quite a challenge to unseat the Labour, St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. Now, the CCM thought it was best to form an alliance after the breakup, to form an alliance with the PAM party to contest the CCM PAM induced general election just gone by. And you see what happened. Nevisions voted to send one party with maximum number of seats, that is 3 seats, to Bastille, so that they can increase the probability of being impactful within the federal government. And guess what? They sent only 3 seats. And they did not have the complementary seats from other party to realize a positive impact. So technically, the Nevisions took a risk in voting for CCM, hands down, even though some of the seats were closely contested. I think it was a calculated decision to vote one way and send down 3 seats. But the challenge with that was the CCM leader would have already committed himself to the PAM party. Whether it was obvious that there would win only 1 seat, 2 seats, 3 seats, the anticipation was that they might be able to win 3. So 3 and 3 would have given them the little majority, minimum majority that was needed. But that did not happen. What would now happen as a consequence? Remember when PLP, PAM, and CCM, they put Labour under some good pressure. And that is when they were together in unity. Persons started talking about the fact that Labour could be in opposition for the next, possibly, 3 elections. And anybody who is objective might have inferred the same thing. That was the trajectory that we were on. Labour would have had to fight a real good fight. And when that CCM PAM Juice election took place, instead of reconciliation of differences, then technically Labour was handed the last election. Handed. Because no way persons would have voted for the individual. Well, you have PLP, the results show. The PAM party, the results there to show. The CCM happened to get the benefit of a calculated risk. Send all 3 to Bastille. But that was to no avail. Maybe in hindsight we can know, well, the calculation was done. Some people like saying in hindsight they wasted their votes. Because they pounded the Labour Party into submission. CCM was a part of it. PAM was a part of it. PLP was a part of it. But we want to focus on CCM because CCM with 3 seats ought to have been in a better position to benefit the voters and people of Nevis than to be so lame at best because they have to be on the opposition benches. Maybe the wisest thing or the wiser thing to have done maybe was to sit out and watch on. Get your 3 seats and watch on. And then you make whatever alliance was necessary to benefit optimally for the people of Nevis. But then the alliance was declared and put into practice. And as such, currently there's precisely no headway for Nevisions. Because I think that no way Dr. Joe supporters would allow Dr. Joe to make any provision to facilitate any conversation with Mark Vantley. They would not let him do that. Curtis Cook, Dwyer Astafan, and all of them who are political activists to secure the re-election of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party would never let Dr. Joe feel comfortable in having conversations with Mark Brantley after he was on that train with the intention of just wrecking the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. There's no conversation to be had, and that is the harsh reality. No conversations to be had. The supporters will not allow that. Even given the good heart that the Prime Minister has, his supporters will never, ever allow him to facilitate any conversation with the CCM leader. It cannot happen. So that is dead and buried. So for the upcoming elections in Nevis now, having realized that that is the situation, the Nevision voters will now do the calculations and work out that it is better to vote for NRP. Let us give NRP leadership. Let us give them the seats, maybe all the seats in Nevis for the national elections. And I think that the Labour Party leaders and supporters would feel more comfortable having conversations with NRP than to have any conversation with CCM. So those 3 seats gone in. And they would now have to be careful with the national elections. Because what would you do? Vote back in CCM? And they cannot have any conversation with the federal St. Kitts government? It's on the opposition benches. They would be down here when Parliament opens. So why would you want to put them in power in Nevis and they cannot have a conversation with the people who would make the difference? And since there was already an NRP Labour coalition, it is easier to have a conversation with the people of the NRP than to have a conversation with CCM. Some people might not like to hear it, but that is the harsh reality. There is absolutely no conversation to be had with CCM. None, none, none. If Mr. Jew, from his kind-heartedness, would like to entertain, even superficially, his supporters would never allow that to happen. Good evening. Welcome to Fear Nor Favor.
Good night. Let me turn off the radio. Good evening, Natal.
I know you come for war, so let's go. Ready for the ground war?
Don't pick a fight you can't lose, you can't win.
No, I always pick the right fights.
Oh, you pick it to the wrong person.
Well, we're going to see tonight. Let's go.
Now, with your analysis, there can be no amendment to the Constitution. There must be talks. There can be, remember that one of the promises they make is that they would have amendments to the Constitution.
You've been hearing that for years, over 30 years now.
Well, that is a promise Labour made. A promise Labour made.
It was made before.
It cannot happen unless there is talk with the CCM and PAM. No matter how they face it. They don't have all the cards, and that card is crucial because there are things that everybody wants to see.
But the Constitution might favor the Labour Party right now.
They don't have it.
They don't have what?
They don't have two-thirds.
But what I'm telling you, it remaining like that could only be in their favor.
But if it remain like that, it means that they are untruthful, that they're not dependable. If you go and put it all in your manifesto, and the population is asking for it.
And you hold the referendum and it fail. You can't blame them.
Oh, really?
No, you can't blame
So
them.
they're not going in. They're not going into that promise. They must talk to the opposition. Now, if or not maybe. It don't make no sense. Because they have a history of being unreliable. Make promises and don't keep them. And I realize that you left out the option of the PLP joining with Labour. Labour is Labour.
Well, we're coming around to that. This show
You
just started.
Get there.
This show just started.
Get there, man.
I'm going to
Because
call quickly.
The possibility exists, you know. Yes, if PLP, if Dr. Harris go back on the Labour bench, right? Then they stand a better chance of getting what they want done. And I see you're lobbying for NRP, so let me get to it. It don't make no sense to get all the 5 seats in Nevis because they would have no impact on the federal government.
But I'm telling you that Dr. Joe and his supporters will be more willing to facilitate conversations with NRP than
Why
to
not
facilitate
PLP? PLP Labour people.
No, I'm talking about the national elections over on Nevis. I'm not talking about PLP right now. I'm talking about over on Nevis. That Nevis people vote could be seen as not wasted. Because you ain't going to have any conversation with Mark.
Hello, when you get into the house, different to on the street, you know, and it's different to people who make noise. There are certain things, certain actions have to be taken in the interest of the country, the federation. You know that? Whether Dr. you like it or not, or his activists like it or not, you have seen it. There are certain actions that must be taken in the interest of the country, the better or the best interest of the country.
Of course.
So some of your conclusions are far off.
Those are inferences. There's no way he's going to have conversation with
He
no
must.
No.
Must.
I'm talking about out of the elections on Nevis.
Right.
He would be more enticed and more willing to have conversations with NRP. NRP wasn't part of Unity. That
matter.
really pung the hell out of Labour.
It doesn't matter. Listen again.
It must matter.
No.
What do you mean no?
Talks have already begun, you know. You know, they're communicating, right?
And those are just superficial to give an impression.
That is how you see it.
It's nowhere.
There is no way.
But that's the harsh reality.
Watch it. But you have the reality in front of you. Doctor, you must talk to CCM. He has no choice.
But a better conversation could be had with NRP.
But you see, we could have a good unity, you know. But certain elements in PLP put up in the Prime Minister that he alone could be unity. So I realized that you said the PAM and the NRP
induce election, yes, and I hold steadfast to that.
They're not induce and they're what?
Maybe the voice is going down a bit.
Is PLP forced the election?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
How PLP going to force election?
When a lot of you, let me put you, because you're in it too, pumping up the Prime Minister to ignore the other two parties that are in the coalition, what you asking for?
Well, what happened so bad that they could not be resolved? Let us have that conversation.
That is why the woman killed the man the other day.
Why?
So there's only so much knockabout people could take.
Somebody was getting knockabout?
Somebody was sharing the blows.
You got intelligent people,
Somebody
and you cannot have an intelligent conversation?
But here we go. I listen to a lot of you, you know. Nobody was trying to have reconciliation or let it go. We one could do it. We are unity.
I never heard that.
You what?
I never heard that yet.
Hello.
That is the perception you gathered.
I heard Dr. Harris saying
that what?
PLP is the true unity. But wait, you were deaf to what he was saying? You're ignoring him?
The true unity to what?
Instead of the three-party unity? PNP?
He wasn't talking about a political union. You
Hello.
No, you misinterpreted what he
You
was
have
saying.
election for what? What you have election?
He was saying unity is not unity of parties, but
Hello.
unity of togetherness to get the best done for the majority of people.
And it has to be that party.
He wasn't referring to it from a political perspective.
You're talking to me, eh?
Of course I'm talking to you.
I understand English. I am upset to you now. Because I'm saying, this is the Bible talk about, you see? Humble yourself and you'll be exalted.
So why Pam and Sissy and people couldn't humble themselves?
Exalt yourself and you'll be abased. As you said, I said, Labour won by default. They won by default. In a great victory, you know. People were so thrown off guard, enchanted by what happened in Unity. They understand home, or some of them vote Labour. And so the PLP must take the responsibility.
To do what?
For what we have now. So maybe the best thing or the better thing to happen is that Dr. Harris, he had nothing to lose. Because nobody in Labour better than him. Join back with them then. Because he has left his people in the wilderness, you know.
But then Pam will be buried forever?
That is what he thought.
No, you're saying he should join back with... No.
That is the analysis that, we can kill Pam and bury Pam. But how come they trade him on the opposition side? Explain that to anybody with common sense. How come you can kill somebody and all you end up in the same mortuary?
But the same thing they were saying. The last election was about Dr. Harris. They didn't even campaign and tell people what they have to offer. The thing was about getting rid of Harris. They kept a party.
If you didn't listen, you wouldn't hear. The truth is, all of them are to blame, eh? 1, 2, 3, all of them are to blame. But what I'm saying, the leader, it is something about leadership. Which circus don't get yet. Up to now, from Bratcher come down, leadership don't mean dictatorship. It has been so ingrained in our political system. Well, Dr. Joe alone know what all this, eh? It is not his party, it is the people's party. And if the people mean they want any one of them, Mark Brantley, he can't stop it.
I'm saying, given the two options,
Which one?
Dr. Joe would prefer to have conversations with NRP. And it
don't
is
know
only
that.
fair how you're going to try to kill me.
You don't know
And
that.
then are you going to come back and have meaningful discussions with you? No.
Excuse me. That don't make sense. Let's go to 1993 and see that your analysis is weak. In 1993, it is the same NRP that joined with PAM to put Labour, keep Labour in opposition. Isn't that so? I mean, it's in history. It's the same Labour if Mr. Parry did not join. Talk the truth.
Yeah, but we're talking about moving forward from the last election.
Showing the president, you know.
I would not have CCM there and NRP there and have discussions with CCM over NRP.
CCM is the only one that has seats in the federal parliament.
So I'm saying to them now,
You want to talk to the supervisor and the manager?
okay,
Does that make sense?
they have,
Let me come on so you can continue. But just know I am here, and please correct your analysis.
no, you can continue because I would not have discussions with no CCM.
Because
They just try to kill, they just try to kill me.
You have an issue.
No, they just try to kill me. I have two options, either A or B. B
Hello.
try to kill me.
You know,
I'm going to have discussion with A.
you listen to the debate in the election. The last one that gone there.
Which,
Do you realize that most of the debate was between PLP and the CCM and the PAM? Labour was basically there sitting and waiting for
just
the PAM.
looking and waiting for the
That's
victory.
what I'm telling you. So you are saying that how they were
Who are attacking? No. I said that they joined up in 2015 to destroy Labour, and they did it again in 2020.
Let's go back.
Why would I want to have conversation with you instead? I'm not saying that they should not keep any conversation whatsoever with them, but I'm saying I would prioritize to have conversation with NRP.
NRP the same man who joined with Pam to put them on the street.
Yeah, but that's long time ago.
Oh, really?
Long time we're talking about from the last election.
All right, now, that is what Labour got 20 years from.
The most recent impact.
The same way they started out, the one in 1993 can be started out. So your suggestion is that, and this thing about...
I'm saying next election in Nevis, vote for NRP. That your country will stand a better
But you
chance.
can't get into Parliament, so...
No, you do not want. You do not want to get in any parliament. You want to have discussion with the Prime Minister.
They could have it now. There's nothing stopping them from having it now.
To have what?
The discussion with the Prime Minister.
Who could have the discussion?
And happy.
Yeah, but then the Premier would come from that party.
The Premier come from the party, and in the House they have no voice.
Right, but you're in the House and you still ain't got any say. You could imagine the disjointed opposition we're going to have in Parliament when Parliament starts.
I hope Dr. Harris would cooperate with the other two to stand up for same kitchen at the PLP and the Labour Party and whatever.
Don't you anticipate a disjointed opposition?
No.
How you mean no?
So let me ask you, so are you saying that Dr. Harris will not?
What are you saying, Dr. Harris? I'm to the rest of them.
You told them on the same side, right? As you said. PAM and CCM.
Man, in Parliament, we're going to have three things in Parliament. We're going to have the Labour Party ruling, we're going to have Timothy Harris, and we're going to have CCM and PAM.
Right. That tells you something, you know.
They ain't gonna got no PLP, CCM, and no PAM. That ain't gonna happen.
So are you saying that Dr. Harris can stay home? He's going to not attend any?
No, he's more effective in Parliament than any one of them.
He's not going to contribute to
He's
the
more
debate?
effective in government. But I telling you, whenever he makes his contribution, the other two might be attacking him rather than attacking the government.
They're not, you see, that is what happened to you all, you know. When you make a plan and your scheme, and it don't work out, I would expect him as the last Prime Minister, God bless him, to do whatever is in the best interest of the country. Because this party thing killing us, you know. They will either have to decide on the presentation, where they stand on the issues, because if he's going to deliberately stand against what PAM and CCM say, then he's on Labour side.
But
It's English, and maths. He either with them or he against them. Simple. So if he knows that he has no intention of contributing or participating or voting, because if he vote against, he either got to vote with Labour or he has to vote with the rest members. It's simple, you know?
That's to Labour Party they be.
That's why I say, why you don't go back to them?
The People's Labour Party and saying it's Nevis Labour Party.
Labour. He had nothing to lose and nothing to be ashamed of. He got nothing to lose.
So how you want him join up with CCM and PAM over in the opposition?
He ain't got no choice.
It ain't gonna happen.
It doesn't happen.
We have a this
It happened.
sitting over there don't mean working together. We are going to have a disjointed opposition.
Mr. Man, disjointed or not, certain things. All right. So when they require two-thirds, he gonna vote with Labour then.
You don't know. It depends on what they're voting on.
That's why he might as well go back.
Depending on what they're voting on.
So he might as well go back. Anyway, not before the people murder me.
And I want you to come back.
I'm going to come back. I want you to continue.
Okay, good. Thanks much for your input thus far. Let us take a break, acknowledge our sponsor, and come back.
If you have a dream, what are you waiting for? The Development Bank has what you need and more. We aim to build stronger communities. That's why we have so many opportunities. Business loans, student loans, we make a positive difference in your life, in your life. of St. Kitts and Nevis. We make a sustained positive difference in your life.
Welcome to the customer support portal, where we have made it easier for you to contact us. It starts with your question, email, a message, phone call, or a search on our website. Our CSP provides prompt and efficient solutions to your problems. We pride ourselves on treating our clients responsibly and ensuring your information is kept safe. Log on to www.skndb.net and send us a ticket or email us at customersupport@skndb.com. You may also call us directly at 869-465-2288, extension 1322, or 954-353-1003.
Welcome back to Fear in Our Favor. I really enjoy talking to my teacher, Sylvian. Sylvian is talking about the ideal situation. That time, the ideal situation do not pan out. We have to be realistic. Is no way I'll have conversation with anybody who try to cripple me and bury me, and had that trajectory continued, I would have been buried till now. But maybe there was divine intervention, that something happened and the tables turned. I'm not going to have any conversation with that person of any deep nature when I have options. And I'm saying that if Nigerians vote for NRP, with an NRP premier, Dr. Joe would be more willing to have conversations with them, especially since there was, in recent time, an NRP Labour coalition. That is common sense. You don't have to go to a rocket science class to put that idea in the grammata that lies between your two ears and get it fleshed out. It's not going to happen. And like I say, even if Dr. Joe had any intentions, an entertaining conversation of any meaningful degree, his supporters would not allow that. Dr. Joe put himself there. His supporters and voters put him there. So if there's no conversation with CCM, because of the construct of which CCM was a part of, that is only fair. Nobody said they're going to ill-treat Nevis. But the conversation about Nevis cannot be held with the same person who constructed a possible destruction of the labor. It cannot happen. Cannot happen. We could hope and wish for the best, and conversation might be had, yes. But the options would suggest that NRP would be better for the people of Nevis to benefit more from an association with the Labour Party. It's not going to happen. And like I said, the federal government, and who don't want to hear it, you could close up your ear in advance, is St. Kitts government. So when people talking about get a Nevis Island Assembly and a St. Kitts Island Assembly and have a president and turn to a republic, the republic done in place. It's only that we have a governor general instead of a president. The federal pause is St. Kitts pause. That is how it is, and that's the reality. Regardless of how they want to share money based on constitution and population and whatever else, the reality is that when you take your share, your 25%, what do you think happening to the 75%? What is happening to the 75%? You think they're going to give St. Kitts 50% and take the other 25 and keep it in some kind of federal reserve? The federal government, the federal pause is St. Kitts government and St. Kitts pause. It's as simple as that. It's the harsh reality. 25 for Nevis, 75 for St. Kitts. There's nothing split down the middle to go anywhere else. Nothing split down any middle to go anywhere else. So if we cannot logically see that 25 for Nevis and 75 for St. Kitts, something wrong with us. Or we prefer not to hear that. You have to hear it. Because where else the money would go? St. Kitts giving 10% increase in salary. And Nevis wondering if they can do it and over what period of time. So obviously there must be a Nevis purse and a St. Kitts purse. And that is the harsh reality. Why you think that this geothermal thing is not up and running? The amount of money it would cost is nowhere money from that St. Kitts purse is going to come out to that degree to put such a major development over on Nevis, when the authorities here would be thinking about what on a parallel basis can we get for the population of St. Kitts. Some people might say, but we don't want to think like that, but that's the reality. And take up all the millions of dollars and send them over to Nevis to develop a geothermal thing. And we got solar energy, desalination plant, wind energy, all that thing to develop in St. Kitts. It's not going to happen. They ain't got no such thing kind of federal project. It's either a Nevis project or a St. Kitts project. No such thing as no federal capital project. Maybe the only thing that would resemble a federal budget is the construction of a bridge. The construction of a bridge. Now, where the money would come from? How would it be proportioned? So St. Kitts want to build it and they say, okay, since St. Kitts building it, 75% of the bridge. Build 3/4 of a bridge. Let Nevis bring down the quarter and meet it out there. And then we get a complete bridge. But these things ain't gonna happen. They're too expensive. And there's no federal purse. We got to wake up and face reality. And see if we can call back. Because there's no such thing as a federal purse. She can say what she wants. Nevis getting his share, St. Kitts getting his share. You ain't hear anybody say, well, give St. Kitts some, give Nevis some, and the rest of left, put it on the bank account there. What, Federal Reserve? Anything in the bank after Nevis get a share belong to St. Kitts. I have a lot of families in Nevis. I had discussion with a few of those guys I went to university with. And we discussed this, and they basically agreed. And they're too saying that they believe that Nivision should vote NRP, get a different leader. So the leader would be more politically friendly with the Labour Party. Nothing wrong with Brantley and Joe meeting up, taking a photo up, drinking a beer, drinking whatever they drink, wine, Vitamart, whatever. Nothing wrong with that. But that is as far as it would go. There's a call coming in. Good evening. Welcome to Fear in Our Favor.
Where's me? Come back to help you.
Of course.
I'm trying to get off the radio first. Oh, Lord. I'm up in the bed.
Take your time.
Yes. And we are here to educate the nation.
And your daughter listening too.
Oh, God bless her. God bless my loving daughter.
And God bless my loving friend.
Well, you know me friendly.
Well, your daughter is my good friend.
And I am your good friend too. So
Of course, you just send me your friend. Take your time and get around. I understand the
Hey,
slight.
good night to all those who are listening.
Yes.
Now, as Nita said, we are friends, we're not enemies. And as intelligent people, it is good to have discourse. We all don't have to agree. We state our opinion, which could be right or wrong. And it depends on the angle from which you come.
Of course.
Now, let me get to this thing, because for years, I worked at the planning unit as an economic statistician. All those numbers you see in the IMF report, whatever, they are St. Kitts and Nevis together. My job was to analyze the expenditure and revenue for St. Kitts and Nevis and put them together.
Yes.
So when you're saying that there is no federal revenue and whatever, and the truth is, the tax that people argue over, a lot of it belongs to Nevis.
Here we go again. Go ahead.
You have companies registered in St. Kitts, large companies. As far as I know, I think it was only TDC that had opened their account, paying income tax in Nevis. All of these, Digicel, all of the rest, big companies that went over, their taxes are paid to the St. Kitts government. So when they say, oh, none of the tax, a lot of the tax belongs to Nevis. A lot of the import duties are paid in St. Kitts. Are you aware of all of these things?
Yes, I'm listening. I'm quite aware.
I don't think sometimes the debate that we hold include that. Another thing, St. Kitts does not have to pay Nevis debt. What they have to do, they require a guarantee. Let me say it again. What is required? You see the one with CDB?
Yes.
The St. Kitts government had to guarantee
Guarantee the
it.
loan, yes.
They have done it before. You remember when Mr. Parry was trying to start the same geothermal, and the IDB, and I think the USAID, the American government, I think it was USAID, was trying to get Mr. Dr. Douglas to sign. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm quite aware. I follow what's going on in the Federation.
And he refused.
Yes.
He refused.
So when
So
you said a while ago that the St. Kitts government doesn't have to, what do you mean by the St. Kitts government?
Well, you said your analysis, right?
Yes.
The federal government is St. Kitts government.
Okay, good.
So based on that, right?
I'm happy that it would have sunk in. Go ahead.
I listen, I listen.
Mm-hmm.
I listen, but we need to educate our people. So all of these taxes that you always say, St. Kitts one, that's not true. I recall it was very late when they started to pay. I used to go over to Nevis, to the Nevis Inland Revenue, and scarcely, Nevis were not accustomed to paying taxes. Only those that were registered. And they paid their taxes in St. Kitts. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. All the small businesses and house and land tax, those are foreign to Nevisians.
I heard you said on a radio program that was for about 9 years or more. The Nevis Island administration did not contribute the due liability to the federal effort.
Explain what you mean by that.
Maybe places that they're supposed to pay, money supposed to come down from them. You take care of your expenses.
Again, remember I said a lot of the taxes, a portion of the taxes collected in St. Kitts belong to Nevis or attributed. Let me say attributed, right?
Yes, that's a better terminology.
Should have been attributed to St. Kitts, to Nevis.
To Nevis.
So when we're saying, oh, they don't pay, that's a lie. And even, common services, right? They have
Police.
members of, well, the police is a federal thing because they, the boundary story. They are charged with defense,
You right.
right? Mr. Parry, Mr. Brantley had to go and build and refurbish the Newcastle police station, which was the responsibility of the federal government. They had to go and borrow, and it happened again and again.
Who had to go and borrow?
The Nevis government had to finance it. Mr. Parry started it, having to finance it from their own money when it was the responsibility of the St. Kitts federal government, who were collecting the taxes due to Nevis. And even you go to common services, like the subscription fees we pay, UN and all of these things. We pay fees, right?
Yes.
Some people don't know. We don't just join for free. When they are doing the calculation, all the things are added together, and all of the common services are deducted, of which, in some cases, Nevis have access to very little. I mean, the numbers are there.
But you were the one who said that they have not contributed to this common service for a number of years.
Why should they, if you're holding on to the money?
So to wrong make a right.
It wasn't a wrong. If your mother, I mean, we got to be logical and reasonable. If I am entitled to, say, $100 a month, right? And you're supposed to give me 60. How much are you? How much do I owe you?
$40.
I mean, nobody look into these things, Obviously, a lot of people
But
don't even know. A lot of people don't know.
Prior to some of that, there was a period of time
In which one?
when Nevis was supposed to be contributing to the common expenses. And they did not, so maybe know that something belonged to them and they were not getting it, could be set off.
Hello? How much you think they were? You see, it's because we don't. You see, this is a problem in St. Kitts. A lot of things that people should know, they don't know. You understand? If the minutes, no, what they call them, the financial secretaries.
Yes.
But they used to meet, You see, I know to some people think, they never.
But they have not met in a long time.
But the point is, the point still remains, because people think you got to send over. You got to send over the money. Accounts, right?
Yeah, it is accounts and economics.
It's bookkeeping they do. It is bookkeeping. And the few times when it was calculated that they owe. Man, the next time you come around, it is deducted or balanced out.
Set off, yes.
Yeah. But people got it, they ain't send down their money. Nobody just send down the money. Just like when you write a check. Banks don't send up suitcase of money. It is the ideas that we have, but we don't know. So a lot of things that people say don't make no sense because they don't know any better. I work on the actual data, so I'm not asking you.
So if Nevis faltered on the debt, who become responsible?
It goes in as part of the national debt.
Right.
It still does not mean that the federal government have to pay. All of these debts, story and so, you could...
When you write them off as bad debt?
No.
You make provision for doubtful debt, and if they don't pay, you write it off as bad debt eventually.
So who they borrow from? They borrow from commercial entities,
And the federal government provides some security, like you said.
Security is a signature. They don't pass no money.
Yes, but in the event
if
that it is not paid.
We had a recession in 2009 to 2012.
And we might be having one in 2023.
But you all started. You all started to take credit for it. But I mean, seriously, Nevis has been disadvantaged. I recall, even when we write in projects, I told you might know that. Because Nevis doesn't have the power to go outside and solicit grants. And I heard Dr. Douglas say, where the St. Kitts went. If you know you want to extend electricity in the country, in the Federation, and you go there and the Taiwanese, for example, all of these community centers, how many are there in Nevis? How many community centers did the Taiwanese build in Nevis?
So you're saying they had
Ask
poor.
me, answer me,
So
answer me.
you're saying they had poor.
Answer me.
They had poor leadership.
You mean Dr. Douglas?
No, if they had poor leadership over in Nevis, not to
You
be
mean-
aggressive,
you mean-
not to be aggressive for their fair share.
I say yes. That is why some people don't like Mark, because Mark is aggressive. Mark understand. You see, Mr. Parry, he sat down there, money running like water from 2006. And he borrowed in 3 million. I mean, and he knows, because he knows the Constitution. He knows. But well, I don't want to beg, and I don't have to depend on
Right.
state.
You don't want anybody patronize them.
And then I hear, your father did leave something and your brother got it. You got asked for your share.
Sure.
Oh, well, I don't want to argue with my brother. So your brother spending. Nevis have been disadvantaged. How many, I ask you again, how many community centers they build in Nevis, the Taiwanese?
I don't
How
know.
many hurricane shelters? Because,
Yeah, but
I don't know, man.
leadership,
That's the number.
leadership.
So you mean all of Nevis prior leadership prior to Brantley weak?
Remember, we had 3 piers down by the Treasury.
3 what?
3 piers where boat come into.
And what happened to them?
And you know what they used to call them?
What?
They call one St. Kitts Pier, Nevis Pier, and Anguilla Pier. I don't know if you can recall that.
And what
All
happened to them?
3 piers were built in St. Kitts.
I'm glad you know, so that you are now condoning those bad practices.
Of course.
You're condoning them?
No, I say, of course, they were built and they were bad practice.
Yeah, and it continued all, God bless unity. It continued all through all
Also,
the
when
labor years.
when it's good, it's unity. When it's bad, it's Timothy.
You see, you listen to me. I give unity credit. When unity does positive things, I get credit.
And you collectively refer to them as unity. But anything bad is Timothy.
No, I don't get Timothy all the bad. It's people around Timothy like some of you who spoil the good man. Did you all, Well, not your person. Well, you were close enough to influence him. But serious, when you ask the question, how come Senkis have this and that, and it coming out that it's all we pay for the taxes, portion of the taxes belong to Nevis. Portion. Nevis was glad to get a little 4 season and a little financial thing. So they were able to pay the wages. We got to be honest. It is Mark Brantley who stood up and said, look, enough of this. And people saying, oh, he greedy. How on earth you can be greedy with your own things? And the extravagance that was going on down here. I think a lot of these things are designed to push Nevis into secession. You don't get a feeling?
Well,
Some of your statements.
we're going to come to that, because I feel that is a viable path for them.
They might as well.
But we're going to come into...
They might as well.
When they say that revenue is supposed to be split 25-75, 1 to 3, when Nevis gets its 25%, who gets the other 75%?
Take it.
Right. So where the federal government is?
I always say that if there is whole, but we want to take this government. That sounds so ridiculous.
But it done there already.
You tell them.
It's only two parties you got sharing up the revenue. In
No,
a 1 to 3. 3
No,
go to St. Kitts, 1 go to Nevis.
This 25% is not fixed,
They depend on the population, but how often do you take a population?
Well, one is going on right now. So we will have an idea at the end of the population census and tabulation.
It might reduce because you have a lot of people coming to St. Kitts who live.
Well, we will know.
The ratio might be 20 to 80 now, 1 to 4.
Well, they've got to live with it. But the point is that if that is it, why are we so dishonest in St. Kitts? We are dishonest and we support dishonesty. You can tell me. 25% is 75%. And some of the things that the St. Kitts government, the federal government, is supposed to finance, Nevis have to go out and do it. Out of the same fund, you're giving 10% down here. And you're asking your partner, the other part of the country, to finance their own.
So you're telling me that you get 25%. And you do what
But
you want with
they're
it.
not getting it. That's the point.
Yeah.
They have never gotten it.
Okay, let us assume then. Let's work on the hypothetical
Well,
situation.
if they got it, listen, if they got it, if they were ever to get it, they'll be responsible for everything.
Oh, you're shifting now. You're
No,
moving
you
the goal.
aren't.
You move the goalpost a little bit, but that's all right.
No, I
I
said,
thought
if,
enough.
no, if, you and I are on the same thing. If they were to get it, then they will be fully responsible. But to ask Nevis to be fully responsible for the development of Nevis, because it has to be financed. While the saying is about all the money down here.
But that's not fair because we have a federal government. We're saying that if they get the 25, they're supposed to come back and ask the federal government for help when they want help.
Nothing wrong with that.
But you just
But
say
you ain't
if
want
they
to give
get the
them none.
25.
But you had a little talk there a while ago about, and it's saying it's people money. Really? So
But-
be a Nevis here.
But we just said it. We just said after they get the 25, the other
But when?
75 belong to Nevis.
The
I mean,
question then
belong
becomes
to
when.
St. Kitts.
The question then becomes when. When will they get it?
How you know they have not been getting it?
Mark Lyden, the numbers lie. The farmer PMA say, they're greedy, they're raping. All they want is money. Mark, greedy for money. Ask them how much they got.
Yeah, but do you give somebody the money up
Hello,
front?
hello, hello. You're giving somebody. When you send to Nevis, you're not giving to Mark.
Do you give Nevis the money up
Nevis
front?
Island yes.
How could you do it? How can you give up front when it's a work in progress?
Hello, which progress that?
Progress?
Which
Okay,
one?
for a year.
2006.
No,
Count.
no. We wait. No. Let's go to
2006 till
a
now.
hypothetical year. A hypothetical year.
Having much months?
And you have, we are going to give Nevis 25%. And the other 75, well, I say St. Kitts. Would you give them the 25% upfront based?
No, they can't get it up front unless you collect it.
Right.
But imagine 2006 till now, was 16 years.
I was working on a hypothetical year. You
But I'm
know.
working on actual, so don't come with that.
No, I'm working on a hypothetical year. You just said that you cannot give the money up front.
No, you can't give them all up front.
Because you're not generating everything in January.
one time,
So
right.
you come January and say, well, hold you 25, I keep me 75.
But if you got all,
You see, what happened is that you give some with the expectation that you'll generate more revenue and proportionately give the rest.
that statement was never made, a promise given.
But that's common sense. That's logic.
Yeah, but it was not, the promise wasn't given. You see, the thing is this?
That is very much implied.
You made some statements when I was listening about how St. Kitts view the revenue as St. Kitts money. Our leaders, the past ones, because the SIDF started 2006,
Yes.
and the amount that was accumulated, whether it is 5 billion or 1 billion, the amount that Nevis got, they say 7%, right? They say 7, they didn't say 10. I mean, with a fear and just conscience, how could we, as so-called Christian-minded people, condone what happened? Because the truth is, as I said, when we finish doing the calculation, we put the numbers together. So if you keep down Nevis and Nevis numbers small, when the numbers are put together, they're going to look smaller than what St. Kitts would have preferred. Any number you see in any ECCB thing, CDB, any bank, IMF, they are a combination of actual data taken from St. Kitts and Nevis. They're not St. Kitts numbers. Some people don't, I work on them. They are an amalgamation of the accounts, the debt. And in the back of the estimates, let me tell people, the debts, the loans are given in detail, the interest rate, the grace period, and the number of years they have to pay. Some of these things, they're not any far off thing. But we don't look into the the data is available online. You go to the Ministry of Finance, MOF.KN. The debt management thing is there, do you know that?
Yes, I looked at the budget. I've been following them for years.
But they have a separate document with the debt managing, the debt monitoring system. That was
Finance
separate.
would have a copy of that,
They have the program.
and they put it right.
I used to work on that too. The central bank and the Ministry of Finance work on it. It has in all the sinks and the nearest things in it, all the statutory bodies. But we don't know. So, the sink is this and sink is that. But you see, if our leaders had generated an idea of Sankis and Nevis as one country, we wouldn't have all of that. Oh, Nevis want and Nevis. And really, I hear NRP, they need to get themselves together. You're going to tell me that, I don't see what they do with the 400 million. I mean, is that a conversation for intelligent people?
So what must they say?
They must take their good self. They live in Nevis. They see what is going on. They see.
But they say they ain't seeing.
Only a blind man can't see. I blind and I could see. You got to be blind.
You're supporting CCM, man.
Me ain't got to support nobody.
It's the
I
people
never
that live up there. They did the investigation.
They ain't do
They
nothing.
went the length, breadth, depth, and height
And
of
they see,
Nevis.
and they see nothing.
What they're saying is that it cannot be reconciled.
They have their accounts.
Whatever they had cannot add up to 400 million.
All they need to do, there's a capital account in the books. You know that, right? You have recurrent accounts and capital accounts. You know that, right? But
Yes.
if you don't know, all right. They can be found in the expenditure,
And
estimate of
you could
expenditure.
put anything in there.
Yes, but
When you're in
remember,
charge, you can put anything in there.
you put anything in there, but as the money is expended, that is called the PSIP, Public Sector Investment Program. It is monitored. The information is also on the IMF.
Who policing these projects? When you put on a piece of concrete road and you say it costs 150 million, I mean, who dare to do quantitative assessment, a quantity survey to say, well, yes, this is that amount.
So whose job is that?
Right. It's for
No,
the
I
government
ask
to
you.
be the government to be accountable. And sometimes if you get your partner to do whatever they got to do for you, something that costs $50 a shop to be $65. So you cannot say that there's always information that can be had for you to put the additions together because you don't know what you are adding.
You know,
And that is what NRP is saying.
Are they familiar with the audit report?
I looked through the audit report, but I'm saying you can't
They have,
always go.
wait.
Yes.
In
Go
the
ahead.
audit report, you have overspending.
Cost overrun.
In the auditor reported. That's an independent agency, you know,
But
a department.
who the audit the government with accounts?
The audit, again, the audit department is responsible for auditing.
Who appoint the auditors?
The Constitution says that. I mean, who appoint them?
Who appoint them?
They're civil servants.
Yeah.
But
Government
there's
could
a
fire
con-
this. No, government could fire this auditor, fire the auditor,
they
employ
can't
this.
change the numbers. They could fire them, but they can't change the figures.
They're gonna change them. But
Yeah, so what do you use?
But what is going to be reflected?
Look.
We know
The other-
reality. We know reality.
Oh, so are you suggesting that what the new age says about things is true?
About what?
Open interactive?
Well, I did not read into that.
No, I asked you, did you hear his comment?
No, I'm saying no.
Well, you should have, because he went through how
I
much the
was
man
just
was
kidding
paid
because
each month.
he was saying that all in 2022 the person was receiving money when the contract ended in 2020.
He said he had 2 contracts. And when the second one finished, no other contract was drawn up.
But yet he continued to get money.
Yeah. And saying that in the space of a year and something, the man collected $1 million point something, based on what you said a while ago. How do you feel about that?
But is you complaining that the figures them always reconciling?
No, I ask you, because if that is so, then you should say our figures were right.
Nah.
Because the man said a lot of this thing went on, and he's going to embarrass, shame, and whatever people. So who was doing it?
But you know too, when you used to handle this stuff, they got costs overrun, you got time overrun. So somebody might come for 60,000, and because of whatever inflationary environment that you might have encountered,
You
the
know
60
corruption. You know corruption too, right? I used to
I
see,
know.
I used to see corruption.
I know corruption, yes. I know corruption.
You know.
But
Anyway,
you cannot get it superimposed.
all I'm telling you.
What was spent and what was reflected would not ever be superimposed, and that is what NRP is saying.
But NRP shows the inadequacy in doing economic and statistics analysis.
But how
No.
they gonna get it done when they don't
They
have access to the data? You could get information different to evidence.
Evidence of what?
Evidence of what took place and what was
It's
spent.
there. You see, you got, all right, they have the budget address, right? They have the budget address. Each minister says, well, we build a road for so much. We do so much. A hand calculator could do, you know.
And then when you go out and look at the road, you say, no, this year could have cost $250,000.
You're not an engineer.
But you get your quantitative surveyor.
You could go to the companies themselves. You could go to the public work thing. I mean,
When you don't give me 40,000 under the table, you're going to come out and make you look bad?
oh, so you're assuming that the people were bribed.
I'm saying
Yes,
there
you
are
will.
many possibilities. There are
But
plethora
the
of
truth,
possibilities.
look, the truth is this. When I hear sensible people saying, oh, well, I ain't seen nothing for it. And then you get a list of the thing that was done. So if you go down the road, well, they said they pay 69 million to fix the island main road, but I ain't seen nothing. What would be your reaction to that?
Maybe they won't say they ain't say anything. They can't see the 69 million. They
Well,
may-
that is the same argument.
They maybe see 64.
No.
I
'cause
mean, no.
they say 64. How they come by 64?
No, what I'm saying is that you say if they pay 69 million.
No, the
they claim-
the government said, right?
The government claimed they
Right.
pay 69.
I
And you
do-
carry your quantity surveyor, who
Who do what?
maybe the best you have, and you ask for his opinion with respect to the cost of that structure. And the quantity surveyor said to you, this is only about 64, 65. So with the other $4 or $5 million.
People like, he should explain the discrepancy in the number.
But that is why maybe they're so confident in saying
It don't
that
make no
they
sense
cannot
what they
see.
say.
I mean, it don't make no sense what they say.
It don't make no sense what they say. For the things I hear they say that they have done or are doing. You know, just like how a dollar can give you a bread and a raisin. The very cost of stuff nowadays. In like long time you put on a little road, half a road, and the next 2 weeks, the road thing up. I mean, they're seeing all of these things around them. If you say, look, I don't think it costs so much, but I don't see anything. That's not intelligence.
It's just exaggeration for emphasis on their behalf.
But that is dishonesty.
It's not dishonesty.
All right, that's politics.
Right, that's politics.
Anyway, please come continue your show.
That
I
is
don't get talk in a
politicking.
word. Anyway, please stop. You know better, you know. That's why you see I really can't stand up with a politician.
We have the debate, we have to debate.
I know.
And
What
I
I'm
want you
saying
to
is,
come back in and talk about secession for Nevis. So
Yeah,
I hope you could come back in and let's discuss that.
no, it's simply, as I said, Labour has been pushing it. PLP was pushing it in the last section. Everything is being done to frustrate the Nivision people. Remember that NRP and CCM people are Nivisions, eh? What hurt one hurt all. They have suffered long and hard because they refuse to join together. You know, they could have seceded in 1998.
But that might have been difficult because the international environment
Yep,
thought
no.
that St. Kitts Nevis was small enough.
It's pressure.
Yeah,
Mr.
but remember
Babe.
too that they have conventions and so that they would have acceded to.
Listen again.
Now, when you break away like that, would the same convention cause you to adhere to the convention like they did for St. Kitts Nevis?
How many other countries are broken away, broken up?
They're not as small. They're not as small as us.
The mere idea that one country could split into three parts.
How
And
big,
gain
the, how, big
membership.
the, how big the country is?
Look, Nevis was set, for secession. And Mr. Parry and Mr. Amory, they all agreed in the Island Assembly to to have secession. You know that, right?
They were set within their minds.
He voted in the
They
House.
want- yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Parry
yeah.
voted for it.
Yeah, so in their minds they felt, but when you look at the trajectory, where would they have reached today?
Maybe better than they are now.
Okay, so then we
You
say
never know.
we say 15,000 people.
You know your mother. Hello.
You say 15,000 people should not be so difficult to manage, but it takes more than 4 seasons.
You know, Four Seasons was what they weren't asked to pay more than maybe 2 and 3 all hotels put together.
Yes,
You know, ordinary divisions.
and the money stayed up Nevis though.
How do you stand and they shop so much in St. Kitts?
No, not that. I'm talking about the taxes collected. The
I
revenue.
told you again, I told you already, I told you
They had
again.
to put it in the federal post.
Most of them register down here. I said it to you,
So Four
Most
Seasons
of
was
the co-
registered in St. Kitts.
No, they paid that unlike Marriott was given a kind of concession. They paid their room and so tax in Nevis.
Right, but that's what I'm talking about.
And sometimes the Nevis government had to ask them for an advance. And money down here running in St. Kitts.
Yeah.
Their own money. You see, until we are honest and see that we have treated Nevis unfairly, and every time a Nevisian step up and speak up for himself, he's demonized.
But that is why I am pushing for Nevis to take matters in their hands.
So when they
Instead
were
of
doing
just
it,
being
whoa.
used, instead of just being used as political pawns, do what you can do for 15,000 people. Construct another industrial site, but let the owners them be local instead of having transnational corporations
Let me tell you
coming
something.
in like up the industrial site and going
me
away
tell
with
you.
most of the profit.
I don't know if you know, Nevisians will not subject themselves to that kind of a work. I remember, I think it was under Mr. Bratchen, they tried opening a factory in Nevis. Do you know that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah. And Nevisian man said, look, I could sell to my goat and thing. The idea of working for minimum wages like in St. Kitts, because we come out of the cane field, you see? So it our mentality.
But
And
that-
Nevisian prefer to go fishing, raise his own livestock, do whatever he has to do.
But when I said to
It
open
failed.
an industry,
It
no,
failed.
you
They
get me
tried.
wrong.
I said they tried and they failed.
No, you get me wrong. You got me wrong there. I'm not saying to open an industrial site with transnational corporation
You know.
at the helm of it. I'm saying locals, agro-processing something, make it wider, make furniture, do something.
But they're doing things, Maybe you
Right.
need to go over. They're doing
No,
stuff.
but do an industrial site.
Let me say
People
it.
doing things individually and what's not, but do an industrial site. Do not have any TNCs, transnational corporations coming in and being at the helm and paying starvation salary. Do
Well,
it and have new visions.
Kitchen seem to have been acclimatized to working for minimum. It doesn't run in Nevis like that.
Because it happen in the region because we're competing for these transnational corporations.
I
So
mean-
we give them the lowest possible labor
Yeah.
costs. Lowest possible labor costs.
I don't know how we look. Even in the government service in Nevis, they work more than Kitchens. You understand? Nevisian have a different mindset. You see, they were peasant landowners. They developed a certain culture, a certain pride about themselves. They were able to sustain themselves.
But you got to look at it. The population is our population about 3 times Nevis population. So
It has
what
been
they would
bigger.
not accept, we might have to tolerate. Tolerating something doesn't mean that you accept it.
But how long do you tolerate certain things?
As much as it would keep you sane.
Mm.
As long as it would keep you sane.
Existing is not living, eh?
Right, some people merely existing, and that is true.
Yeah, I mean, when we do the poverty survey, right? The household poverty survey. I mean, in St. Kitts, Nevis poverty, St. Kitts poverty level is twice Nevis one. Twice. And in St. Kitts, 100% of the poor, the people who below the poverty line, are working. Working. We have the working poor in St. Kitts. They gave salary increase. I heard a lady say, she said it to Dr. Douglas. 15 years she had been working at the industrial site, receiving the same pay she got when she first joined.
Because when
and we said we got union, we got people who love the masses, who love the poor, and nothing changes.
Government after government, whenever they increase the minimum wage, they allow the factory owners to reduce the hours.
Well, the commercial center does it too, you know.
And that is not fair. You increase the maximum wage, the minimum wage, so that people can carry home more. But to prevent the people from carrying home more, they reduce the hours. And we just accept that.
They don't reduce the workload, you know.
Right, but the hours are reduced. You just have to do more work in less time.
Well, sometimes they don't even allow you the hours so you could make it up. You know, so sometimes when I hear people talking, you know, my heart does grieve me because when you know the information different to when you just think about it, when you thought about it. It used to grieve me. You look and see what we call the indigent. When Nevis have zero, we must see how much 11 point something. Indigent, which means the poorest of the poor.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we make all kind of boasts.
But what you think would be a livable wage in St. Kitts Nevis?
I don't know because
it might be different for both countries.
Yeah, because remember Nevisians, a lot of them are to a certain extent self-sufficient. Their taste and things are different too. Oh, I don't eat no fish. I don't eat no meat. You understand what I'm saying? But we eat our diet back and neck and cook up.
You think a livable wage could be about $500 a week?
No, you don't do it, so you got to know the rate of inflation and all of that. Because
right, but at least you could just put a ballpark figure at $500.
No. A ballpark figure don't do it.
You want to change your basket of
when
goods?
You talk, that's what, the statistics, you don't make up things. A livable wage? What? I am waiting to hear the rate of inflation, you know, try to ask the question. What is it? You see people all over the world. Mm-hmm. Even when they were given 10%, I said 10% compared to what?
Compared to zero.
There must be some relationship between.
I understand.
Yeah, but if you all give you 10, I give you 15, and then they think the rate of inflation is 20 and 30.
But I think we are due an inflation impacted increase. Inflation has impacted us sufficiently well for us to get a major increase at this juncture.
Major from where and when?
Major from where and when?
We have never gotten one. I don't tell people something when I used to do the calculation.
The increases them that they did, they were not partially due to the inflation that we were cost of living index that we were experiencing?
No. With them electricity and the cost of goods and all of that.
They must have considered that they might not have brought it up.
Right. They wouldn't use the figures. They said, well, let me give them, I ease. What you got was an ease.
But they'll never get it right.
Well, you could get it in some
it is dynamic in terms of factors that are impacting at the time.
And all of the money was rolling.
You
I hear you spread out all them dollars on your bed and roll over.
Don't tell me anything about it, you don't get your gratuity.
Oh, glory, hallelujah.
And I feel that was unfair. I feel it is unfair for government to continue to pay gratuity.
Hello, you know what a gratuity is? A reduced pension.
An appreciation.
No. The correct definition of a gratuity is a reduced pension. Let me say it again for all those who think that they're doing you a favor.
And they're still getting the pension?
You get a reduced pension.
And you get another pension?
What, for your
gratuity is like a gift?
No.
So why would you get that? And people at the industrial site not getting it?
Let me tell you another option. Everybody does not have to take gratuity. Do you know that?
Yes.
If you do not take gratuity, you get your full pension. And if you live long enough, you get more than the gratuity. But because life is so uncertain, most of us go for the gratuity. And that's a fact. Everybody don't take it, you know.
What about the contribution to that?
But that was a state policy.
No, that's why I tell you it's unfair.
It can be unfair.
So people of the industrial side can benefit from that gratuity too.
Which one?
The same one that they give you all, add up your years.
They're not
and
government
multiply.
employees. They're not government employees.
Yeah, but they are citizens of this country.
Well,
It's taxpayers' money paying are you? That gratuity.
Hello, tax money. Some of our tax money too.
Right.
When government underpay you, they actually give you back some.
No, you're looking at it from the angle that would favor your explanation.
But now I'm telling you what it is, you know. I am saying.
Yeah, I know, but it is unfair
Some people
to
don't
industrial site workers not to be able to get a gratuity like government workers because they too are contributing to the pool where the gratuity is taken from.
So, government policy, who make the policy?
But that's why I say we need to done with it.
But they have
cut it in
the
half.
long thing, then have the one, it comes out to the same severance thing.
Cut it in half.
Long service.
Ain't like they owe you
Let me ask
anything. You're getting your salary.
You
But
ain't
yet
get that?
Sylvian Henry,
God bless you.
Henry still carry home 275,000 in
Why you wish?
gratuity.
I would have a maid.
Huh?
I would have somebody to wash my feet.
Yeah,
Cook my food.
people are being paid. And you know what happened? Some government workers squander their money.
That is
No
their choice.
investment, anything, but yet taxpayers have to come at the end of the day to go pay them gratuity. That can't be fair.
Again.
What
a
they need to do,
gratuity,
you know.
again. A gratuity is not a must. It is a choice that government workers make. I have known of people who have refused to take gratuity.
They be made up elsewhere.
No, hoping that you will get a pension. You will get your full pension.
Yeah.
Your full pension. So don't think that they're giving you all they just
Taxpayers' money. Sylvian, I think it would be better serving the nation
because you ain't getting
by
none.
reducing the
You
gratuity.
did not, let me ask you, you didn't put in enough years in government service.
We working, you know. We going through our analysis.
Oh, by the way,
You're going off
you know,
obliquely on top of me now.
you know, the Pension Act changed that.
They say from a certain time to a certain time. And
No.
You have to contribute now.
The act, but it has never been enforced. According to the act, I think it's 2011, 2012, that's why they said you will collect your money at the Social Security and not from the government because it's supposed to become contributory. That's what the IMF said since a long time ago, that workers are to pay 3% and the government pay 3% on the pension.
Yes.
So it should no longer be government alone financing it.
So did you contribute to that gratuity thing? Did you contribute your 3%?
I contribute in
service.
Boy, I tell you.
In service.
They should have given me the other. How much is I get? 200 how much?
75.
Well, look, y'all, please, let me another check.
I round it off. 260, same thing as 275.
How much you get?
Not 1/10 as much as you got.
You see, you come out quick, you got endurance.
I still in government.
That's why the Bible...
I still working in government.
Where you working?
Ministry of National Security, specifically National Drug Council.
Anyway, by the way, they said the auditing all you know.
They might have to come back for some of the money they give you too.
All who eat of the peace money.
All who got money unfairly. They will have to look into that too. I wouldn't mind being a part of the board to come and tell you you have to give back the government at least $50,000.
You can't be a judge when you are participating. All who was getting 3 times what the poor. All who was committing crime in the peace program. The age you say going after you, so expect your letter.
Not me. I'm not a part of that bucketed.
Oh, you take out now? You take out yourself now?
I'm not a part of that. I did my service to the country to ensure that we have the peace and all the tangible and intangibles that come along with it.
So are you saying you
I
were on the
feel like-
Pellis?
I feel
Are
like-
you saying you were not on the Pellis?
You are very ungrateful.
Me
you know.
ain't answer that, you know.
Let me tell you now, you're very
Were you on
ungrateful.
Not me.
Remember when you couldn't even sleep properly over there because of the knives and
I never
gunshot
lost
and
a-
all kind
I
of
never
things.
lost a sleep. The angels of the Lord encampeth round about those who fear him and deliver him.
I find that some Sengis people very ungrateful. The amount of work you had to put into that peace program, is not being appreciated.
Well, I show you here your nice new PM used to denigrate it. They're now looking. Said 2 million a month was paid, and
I saw something like that, yes.
and 10 million was budgeted, and 24 million was spent. So they want to know where the money gone.
Okay.
Anyway, all I beg them, please go carefully, because I am watching some people start polishing their weapons.
Of course.
But that is
And
not
we
the way,
have to- we have-
not the way to go, and I hope you're not encouraging it.
And we have to be mindful of that. I said, of course.
I hope you
no,
are
I
not.
said, of course, when you said that they have to be careful.
Yeah,
I didn't say, of course, because I said some people polishing their weapon.
but so I'm telling you now, start doing your forensic. I recommend you the other day, as Nitel does, what you call it, forensic psychology.
Yeah, and I also do clinical. Matter of fact, I completed my last course yesterday.
But please
For
to
my
go,
clinical psychology, the doctor where I just have to do my thesis.
please
now.
to go and work with the people,
Work with
Yeah.
who?
those on the peace program.
I've been working with them forever.
And you ain't gonna pay, you get paid.
I started since in prison working with them.
I know, but
People
I
come up with associate degree, 28 subject or something. I've been working with
and you
them
make sure they make peace with God first.
for years. A lot of them peaceful unless you couldn't be out there and you think now,
Lord,
you
but
hear
you see, well,
gunshot.
you see where I live, I don't hear gunshot automatic.
Right,
rifle,
you'll be hearing them till
and
now.
I may move. I tell you, God is good. Anyway, you see what you're going to say, take over your shaman.
You should be
Culture,
telling
good
me.
night,
You
culture.
should be telling me thank you for my
I don't
effort.
know how much you get.
For my effort, not for the effort I really put into this piece.
Oh, yes, I thank you for the
Program.
work. I thank you for the work you have done.
That is what the country should be saying first.
But I want to hear if your name on the list.
Now my name wouldn't be on any list, man.
I mean, you got to pay extra. What do you call that?
No, I never honorarium.
Hmm?
No, I never got anything extra.
Well,
What
it depends on what you get.
I got maybe 25% of what I would have deserved.
But remember, in national service, all of us do, you know.
Right.
So when you
that
get your little gratuity, it's actually giving you a little back pay on the all the free work you do, the double task you carry.
You're going to try to justify it, see, and I agree with you. You're going to justify it.
No, but you yourself could say that, right?
But
There are some civil servants who do double the task.
Civil, this is what I want to happen.
I mean, yeah.
I want the gratuity to be cut by 40%. Wait. Instead of doing it at the end of the spectrum, put it forward when you have a lot of people leaving school, coming home from university, and there's an interim period of them not getting any money, any work. Use that 40%. Create a pool and assist them and give them a little stipend until better can be done with respect to getting employment or doing whatever.
How
Take
about
some
giving
of
them
the
attachment? No, man, give them attachment first. You want to pay them to sit down
Take 40% of the gratuity
and give them for doing nothing?
and bring it out front for people who just finished with school.
To do what with?
To help them, prevent them from thinking along the broad path.
What they could do is pay the people student loan until they get a job. That would be better, you know.
But that would be awkward because if I could get a job in 2 months, somebody else could get it. Somebody might hang off until 2 years
You
before
see, you're
they...
going to find an excuse now.
No,
That's the biggest burden on anybody who graduates.
Right, but somebody could deliberately play out for 2 years and pretend that they can't get work because the student loan is being paid until they get a job.
But you give them a certain time, say in 6
Oh, you
months.
put a time.
Yeah.
And even if you try most concertedly and cannot get the job within 6 months, you
No.
just leave the person there hanging?
You know, they got attachment, right?
Yeah, they have attachment.
You see, look how the Cubans and sort of send out people. I've been saying it for years now. Start to put our people out. Send them to do attachment, to do work. Some of them could go and teach English as a second language. I mean, a lot of things they could do, you know. We make excuses. We talk about Haiti. We talk about Africa. Send them there. All of them don't need to come back.
And then we start to get brain drain.
You ever heard the concept of brain gain? Have you ever heard brain gain? I addressed it one time at WinFM. Brain gain. Brain gain is when our people are educated and they stay abroad. And they're able to contribute.
If they contribute.
And they are able to, and that you all say, why you all let them come and come vote? That they're contributing. They acquire new skills, new technologies. Sometimes the brain gain outweighs the brain drain.
But how do we benefit from that additionality with respect to the expertise and knowledge? If they're out there working for somebody else, what the remittances that they might be better able to send home?
It depends, because these parsley poor with salary that we just pay in this country, do you hear me? It's a shame. It's a shame for the level of expertise that technicians have in this country.
And you still ain't had any conscience in taking the lump sum of gratuity.
What I tell you, that's in the pension. You understand? Look, all of you out there listening, you hear me? Gratuity is not a gift. Gratuity is a proportion of your pension in advance.
That's a gift, man.
I could be a gift when you work for you.
You're making financial contribution to that pool?
Yes.
How?
By doing more work than my pay.
Yeah, who did the assessment?
My bosses.
Yeah, I see.
The Central Bank, the ECCB, the IMF, when they come to me.
But you might just be an outlier, statistical outlier.
I'm responsible for myself.
Right, so when you bring everybody into the fold, that negate all that stuff that you're talking about?
Not for me.
Because you do it on average.
Let me tell you something. Again, gratuity is not a gift. Gratuity is not a gift. It is collecting a portion of your pension in advance. Don't let anybody fool you. That's what it is.
Where the country get money from to pay people in advance?
The same way they get to pay consultants.
Suppose everybody said they want the money in advance.
They will get gratuity.
That's why I left the gratuity pool empty.
It can't get empty.
That's why some people putting in for the gratuity, and you have to recalibrate your preference scale as to who you're going to look after now, regardless of when they come in.
Well, you see, that is called poor financial planning. You know, the civil service is one thing, you know, preparing for retirement. I remember when they were running it. Some of them wouldn't go, I went. If you're not making any plan, you just living your life and doing all your fetting. You're not thinking about a house, medical insurance, life insurance. You're just living from day to day. Oh, well, I don't get my salary. And one day you wake up and you're 50.
Remember, at some point in time, you will have several people who gratuity would be due to them. The government would have to recalibrate the preference scale or the priority.
That is why they changed the pension law again.
And make people start to contribute.
If they're not doing it, you can't blame if your job is to say from next month 3% coming out of everybody's salary towards your pension. But if you're not doing it, you're going to blame them. They can't take it out and give you. So sometimes what we're blaming the wrong people. The same thing with Social Security. By now, we should have gone to the age of 65. We don't like to do what we're supposed to do until everything collapses.
So just drop on 3 years and people just say that?
Well, Barbados plan to go to 70, you know.
Come that you want us to go over the life expectancy.
Hello.
The life expectancy
is 70-something in St. Kitts, you know?
Yes, sir. Nobody must enjoy themselves after.
You got 5 years.
5 years, and then you just go.
When Social Security started, and God bless our first national hero, put it at 62. When the life expectancy was in the 50s, it was no way you could collect. It's after you have improved health, better living conditions, people start to live longer.
Life expectancy went up, yes.
better education, better skills. You don't hear the funeral? 89, 88.
I hear about 20-something and 30-something too for a lot of years.
But they make up for those who ain't putting nothing. But all of you listening, please plan for your retirement. You know, think you don't have the mutual funds.
Regardless of how much you plan, you have a lot of people coming out of retirement, you know. They were forced to come out with of retirement to at least each square meals.
What kind of pension they got?
Well, that's a good
It
question.
is called, look, when you retire, you get about half your salary if you get so much, right? You therefore have to reduce your consumption. You can't be living and doing the same things like when you were working.
How many retired persons
And then
you
it's
see
7 years.
working security guard?
They start to plan too late. I used to plan, you know.
So who is responsible for helping them to do the planning?
They're responsible for themselves.
Yeah, but you have to set up the catalyst and the platform. But some people not aware. A lot of people coming out of retirement.
Listen to me.
Not only here, I mean in the region and a whole.
I know, listen to me. I used to say, when I was working, number one, going to debt early. These are given 30 years. At 32, who can pay for the house when you're dead gone? Start when you're young.
And I think marriage should have been encouraged.
I agree with you. I totally agree. Not even if you want to marry. Common law, cohabitation then. But marriage is a thing.
That easy pressure for you somewhat. One hand can clap.
Not only that, two you're paying rent. It don't make no sense.
Right.
You live by yourself and the woman and the children by yourself. And then you got to support over there. You got the same amenities.
You're paying standing charges twice.
You know? But we don't think. I used to say, look, I want, when I reach 55, that's why you see I haven't chopped a stroke of work since I retired. The house should be paid for. The car should be paid for. The children should be educated. Who go in college and things and so. My daughter, when she left sixth form, the time you send her go work. You know, don't let her go. You understand what I'm saying? She went straight. I don't calculate when I reach 55, I don't want to be begging nobody, hear me? Or go in the store and stand up by nobody's door. You gotta plan your life. If you plan nothing is nothing you have. Some people squander all they have. I see people in permanent secretaries, assistant secretaries, work for the government all the years and they don't even own a house.
Sometimes there's a major shift in the trajectory, you know, and you got to admit to that.
You got to plan.
Look, all these wars going on all over the place.
That's why you plan.
You plan, but something your plan get thrown off.
You got contingency plan, you know, contingency plan.
Unforeseen contingency, yes, but not even that you can do properly. I
know, but you see, if you have no plan, you was off.
Right. But we have to admit to that the best plan, that's subjected to changes.
Yeah, and to failure too.
Right.
But there are also alternatives. You might have to swallow the pride. If I had things really bad, I'd just swallow my pride and get up and go and give afternoon classes and so when I could see. I used to teach University Center. I taught economics level 1 for years, from 88 to 2000. And when my vision started to give me problem, I done with it. Now, if I didn't have anything, I retired 2003, 2004. I would have to, however, I find myself down there. Sometimes it grieves me seeing people who are senior civil servants dragging themselves all over for menial wages.
We see the situation, but we don't know the story.
That's a lot of it poor planning.
Sometimes you did reasonable planning, but the trajectory
I don't know what size house you have. This thing of going out there and building these massive houses.
That's what we were talking about last 2 weeks ago. What size house is reasonable?
Yeah. And then they're going to give you 30 years. 30 years where you should have started since you 20 to get that house.
Some people are overbuild unless you're building for the house to pay for itself.
But there's no guarantees what happened when COVID come and the hotels themselves, they should have been forbidden to do what they do, you know. They undercut the locals. all of these hotels over Frigate Bay. Charge them, some of them, half of what they're paying you.
We got to take a break now, though.
All right, then.
Okay.
I'll stay up. Good night, Carol. Good night, Ernest. Good night.
If you have a dream, what are you waiting for? The Development Bank has what you need and more. We aim to build stronger communities. That's why we have so many opportunities. Business loans, student loans, we make a positive difference in your life, in your life, in your life, in your life, yeah. Financing your dream home, we make a positive difference in your life, in your life, in your life, in your life, yeah. Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis. We make a sustained positive difference in your life.
Welcome to the customer support portal, where we have made it easier for you to contact us. It starts with your question, email, a message, phone call, or a search on our website. Our CSP provides prompt and efficient solutions to your problems. We pride ourselves on treating our clients responsibly and ensuring your information is kept safe. Log on to www.skndb.net and send us a ticket or email us at customersupport@skndb.com. You may also call us directly at 869-465-2288, extension 1322, or 954-353-1003.
Fellow citizens, near and far, join Nearest Natal on Sugar Soda 90.3 for Fear No Favor.
Where is the cancer man who wanna come out for war?
Tune in to 90.3 on your FM dial. Log on to SugarCityFMSaintKitts.com or download Simple Radio app from the Google Play Store. And join Newish Natal every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. as Newish Natal tackles the issues and take your call. Fear No Favor every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on Sugar City 90.3 FM.
Welcome back to Fear in Our Favor. And I think I had a lovely discussion. I really wanted to touch on the aspect of maybe divisions considering secession. I think that 15,000 people should be quite manageable. And then we have to put things into proper perspective. Like I was trying to tell Sylvine, they could establish a next industrial site, but do not allow foreigners to come and be at the helm of it. It could be a local industrial site where you produce various stuff. So you don't have much money going out of local circulation. And once you get an industrial site where persons can really go and get a livable wage, 15,000 persons should be easy to take care of. I don't believe that Nigerians should have to subject themselves to all this knockbout, so to speak, and only come into great consideration around election time. There must be that battle, that ground war in Nevis between NRP and CCN. There must not be overly reliant on a federal situation, because this federal situation is ill-defined in many ways. Because like I said, when you don't take the 25% and you give it to Nevis, because they say you share it according to the population size, but 25% would go there and 75% would stay here. There's no in between. It's not like saying it's going to take 50 and then you take another 25 and put it in Federal Reserve. There's no such thing. It is either Nevis or St. Kitts. And the federal government is St. Kitts. And that's the harsh reality. And unless we can wake up and accept that, and maybe we should be trying to facilitate Nevis movement into secession, do as much as possible to encourage them. And we might be surprised that that little sister island would be able to carry her own in a sustainable way. But to continue like this, we need a circuit breaker, man. We seriously need a circuit breaker with what's going on between St. Kitts and Nevis for so many years. And you calculate the risk, you put contingency plans into place, and you start moving slowly, and you target a particular year. Not to say you're getting up this year and say you're getting secession next year. Have a 5-year plan, and if necessary, give it 7.5 years, and at most give it 10 years. By that time, you should be able to get another 4 seasons, maybe this time a 5-season, well-developed movie industry. Marijuana should be decriminalized and maybe even legalized. You could consider that. You just want about 5 good industries. You have the film industry. You get another 4 seasons, or 5 seasons if possible. So you have 3 things. You have the marijuana industry, and what else can you do? You open an industrial site, but you're not going to pay people a minimum wage. You try to pay them a livable wage. And everything will just fall. And yeah, the movie industry doesn't talk about that. And that should be good enough for 15,000 people. And you try to share the wealth as much as possible. Let everybody get a share. It doesn't mean everybody got to get equal amount, but everybody get a reasonable, highly reasonable share. And I think it is time that Nevisions start exploring their options. This thing is just not working, and it might not work for another 10, 50 years. Cannot work for another lot of years, and it's unfair. Anyhow, that is for another discussion. I really enjoy the conversation I had with my teacher, Sylvine. And we have come to the end of tonight's session. I would like to really say thank you to our sponsor, the Development Bank, for its continued supply of oxygen for the sustenance of this all-important social program. Thank you.
The opinions and statements made by the host and participants in this program are not those of the owners, advertisers, and management company of Sugar City